We're doing this semicircular driveway. We're digging in, right? We have to excavate this area, and we have to make sure we have gravel and concrete in this area. Now let's do I'm going to try to take this top view and turn it sideways like this. So I'm going to try that here. So you want to imagine, start with a line like that, and then we're going to have a small inner circle, semicircle I should say, and an outer circle, okay? And there's a depth to it, right? We were going to dig in, same on this side. There we go. And so we know that there's a concrete piece, right? And there's a gravel portion of this entire excavated area. So I don't know if you've ever seen concrete being poured, like when you do construction on mountain right here. They first put gravel, so there's 7 inches of gravel and there's 4 inches of concrete that's gonna go on top of it. What is the total depth that needs to be excavated? 11 inches, right? So keep that in mind. So I'm gonna actually break this down into the 4 and the 7. Oh, if you want to go really fancy, you do one of these, right? So one thing I want you to, is this a hemisphere when we dig it out, or is it a cylinder? It's almost like a cylindrical, it's a cylinder. We're going straight down. We're not doing the pond question where we had the hemisphere. So don't be making that mistake. Unless the question says specifically it's dug out as a hemisphere, we assume that if there's a circle with a depth to it, we're going to think cylinder right away, okay? So I'm going to do this. We're going to do the math on the next page, but for concrete, for the concrete part, because I need to know how much it's going to cost to do concrete, I'm going to do half. Why half, Mr. Dirksen? Because this is half of a cylinder, right? It's cut. I worry about the half later. So I'm going to go volume of large cylinder minus volume of small cylinder. What height am I going to use for these cylinders if I'm talking concrete only? What's the height of that concrete part? Just 4 inches, right? You're with me? So the height is 4 over 12 feet. That's the height I'm going to use in this particular calculation. For gravel, I'm going to go half. Same thing. Volume of large cylinder minus volume of small. And what's going to be the height on this one? 7 over 12, right? Feet. Yes, you can turn it into decimal. I would probably not do it right now because you want to have all decimals, so leave it as a fraction until you do the math. And then excavating. It would be half. You see the picture here? You probably could have done this a little smoother. I agree with you. You might have found a different creative way of doing this. That's fine. Okay. What's the height when I'm excavating? How deep am I? Like I'm dealing, when I'm excavating, I'm dealing with the entire thing, so it's the 11 inches. So I'm going to say, I'm going to give this a capital H. It's going to be 11 over 12. There we go. So you've got, now we have a method of figuring out how much concrete do I need, and then we'll do the cost. How much gravel do I need, and we will do the cost. How much am I going to have to dig out, right? I have to pay for the excavation. We have a way to do all of that, okay? So let's go ahead and do that on the back side of this. I wish I could just copy paste this. That'd be nice. Need an iPad. So let's go to the back side here. What is A asking? Fill in the blanks provided in the above diagram. The width, the interior radius, the depth. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to take you back for A. I was going to go into the excavation. But let's figure out everything we need. The radius of this part right here is what? 30. Right? Because we know that the driveway is 10 feet wide all around. So technically there's a 10 here as well. So you have to go 60 minus 10, you're left with 40, right? So the interior here is 40 feet. So that small lowercase radius is 20. What is the capital R for the large cylinder? It goes from end to end. Half of 60, so that's 30 feet. I tend to do capital and lowercase to differentiate between the two. I think now we've got it figured out. We've got the width, we've got the small radius, the large radius. I can tell you that on the provincial exam, this one told you choose between a width of 10 and 12 or something. I pick smart numbers. Don't be picking some like 11, like pick 10, right? Or pick something that works, right? They want options, so we'll give them what they want, right? So we've got everything figured out. Now let's go to the back side and let's do some calculating for B. Calculate the total cost to construct a semicircular driveway. What do you want to do first? Let's do excavation, because technically if you go through the process, you first have to dig out. So let's do that part. Excavating, so it's all over again, right? Volume of large minus volume of small. I'm just going to stick with that because it's cylinder all around. Did I post the answer key to this? Don't think I did. I may have, but that's okay. We'll do it now. So large is pi radius squared times the height minus pi radius squared times the height. They both have the same height. So that's half. I'll just give you some numbers here. If I type this in correctly, you get 2591.81 something minus. Because typing in at this point, I'm going to leave that in your hands, okay? The process is the most important piece right here. So I subtract, I get 1/2 of 1,439,896 something. And don't forget to divide in half, so that would be 719.94 something. And we are in feet, so our units there would be cubic feet. What is it for, what's the excavation cost? What is it charged in? If you could go back and just check, it's charged per cubic yard, correct? So I need to convert this. I'm going to do that real quick. I hope you have this on your study sheet. 1 cubic yard has 27 cubic feet. This is a very classic conversion rate, by the way. So basically just divide this by 27. And when you do that, you get 26.66 something cubic yards. How many cubic yards are they going to charge us for? 27. 27. Can we do the cost now? Yeah, let's do that. The ultimate goal is to have the cost including taxes. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. 27 cubic yards times $5 per cubic yard That is 135. Does anybody remember reading, if you read this, what taxes are we applying to this part? Is it 12%? It's 5%. It's actually 5%. If you read, it says only GST is charged to the excavation. If you go back to that right here, only GST is charged excavation. I think that's worth highlighting. While both PST and GST are charged on the gravel and the concrete. So everything else 12% except for excavation, because excavation is a service, right? They're just digging it out. They're not giving you a product, okay? That's why that is. So we're going to go times 1.05. If you multiply it by 1.05, you get 141.75. Important, but not yet the final answer. Okay, so we've got that. Excavation, I'm going to break this down here. Now I'm going to go gravel. So again, it's going to be, I'm just going to say this, 1/2, and I'm going to copy paste most of this entry right here. Pi r squared, what's the height for the gravel? 7 out of 12 minus pi. So if you type this into your calculator earlier, you can just copy paste your work and just replace all the 11s with a 7 here and just hit enter, enter, and it will do it again for you. So that's 1/2. Let's speed this up here a little bit. This should be 1649.33 minus 733.038. Which turns out to be, stay within, yeah. Turns out to be 1/2. If you subtract these two, you get 916.29 something. And if you half it, you get 458.148 cubic feet. Trust me, it's cubic feet. We take the cubic feet and we multiply it, right? 1 cubic yard, because it's also charged per cubic yard. It's 27 cubic feet. Cancel, cancel. So when we divide, we get 16.96 something cubic yards. And we need approximately, we're going to pay for 17 cubic yards. So cost is 17 times $18 times 1.12. And that gives you $342.72. Uh-oh, running out of space. And then it's concrete, last but not least. Concrete is 4 out of 12 is the height. And for time's sake, I'm just going to give you the answer. If you do all of this correctly, you end up with 261, no, not dollars, sorry, 261.79 cubic feet. $261.79 something cubic feet, 1 cubic yard. I want you to get sick of hearing 1 cubic yard has 27 cubic feet, so that you just remember. This divided by that, you get 9.69 something, and you need to pay for 10 cubic yards. Cost is 10 times concrete cost $170, and it gets taxed 12%. And that gives you $1,904. It's actually a very cheap project because concrete is way more than that. Costs tens of thousands to do your driveway these days. Need to update my pricing here. And so now the total, the grand total, I'm just going to write that down here. I'm going to highlight the numbers that I added, okay? So I'm just going to give you the grand total. If you add up the three numbers, gives you $2,388.47. And this is where a lot of students get discouraged because they get to this part, they add everything up, it looks beautiful, and then they look at my answer and it's like it's off. And you think you don't get it. It's not true. It's just that something went wrong along the way and there's so many steps. It's just hard to not make a mistake if you're not very careful. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to go up and highlight all those subtotals I figured out. Okay, so there are three numbers that I highlight upstream that make it into this grand total. How are we doing? It's okay, guys. Smile. Okay. So I obviously ran out of room. This is just B. I really want to do C. The rest I'm honestly okay to not do for now. Let's go back to C and read it. It's important that you read it first. If you didn't read it, I'll just make sure you understand here. The family asks you to add a flower garden with cedar wood chips, flowers, shrubs, lighting between the driveway and the street. So, okay, what's happening here is that this section here is supposed to be a bit of a garden, okay? The flower garden must be covered with cedar wood chips, right? So covered, what are you thinking if it's covered? Area, right? Area? And they cost $7.49 per bag, and each bag covers 12 square feet. The cost for the flowers and the shrubs is $150. Excavation is not required, which means there's no volume here, okay? It's just the surface. Lighting must be placed along the entire edge of the flower garden, and including along the streets. The lights are connected by an electrical cable which is 12 feet long. Each cable, each cable costs $32.99. So let's talk about the cable. It's 12 foot long, so it comes in 12-foot lengths, and it costs $32.99. All materials must be purchased in whole units, and both PST and GST are required to calculate the total cost to add the flower garden, including taxes. I have like a gazillion questions mixed in one, yeah, I know. But let's talk about this. Let's go over to 36. I'm going to use 36, which is blank. So you can make an arrow telling you to go to 36 on this page. I'm fairly confident that we can just do this in the bottom half of this page. So I'm going to slice it in half so that the top half is for the previous question if you choose to do so. So this is problem D, right? And we're doing part C here, page 36. So let's see what's happening here. We have this shape that is the garden. We don't care really about the driveway, but I'm going to draw it anyways. You're thinking of, what shape are you thinking of? Hemisphere. Hemisphere is 3D. Half of a circle. Semicircle. Okay? All right, so we need to figure out the area of that semi. What's the area of a semicircle? Half pi r squared. Or pi r squared divided by 2. Just like that, just like that. Pi. What's radius again for that part? Radius is 20, correct? I'm copying from the previous page. So this is 20 squared and like that. So let's do the math there. So that's 400 times pi, right? 20 squared is 400. And I'll slice that in half, so there we go. 628. That's square feet. Okay? So what will I do now? That's the big area. I need to figure out how many bags I need of wood chips. One covers 12 square feet, right? Boom, boom, right? So divide that by 12. It's 52.35 something bags. Can't have that, right? So I will say approximately 53 bags. Cost would be 53 times 749, and it gets taxed 12%. That's 444.61. That's not it yet. That's part of it. That's the wood chips. Mr. Erickson, how did you know it was area and not volume? Because you're not digging in. You're just covering. So grass, if you put grass down, sod, anything you put on a surface, that's area. Okay. I need the lights, right? How would I do lighting? How does it supposed to go? Let's do the semicircle again. So I need to go around, right, with 12-foot cables at a time and put some lighting in there. 12 foot, 12 foot, 12 foot. Even along here, right? 12 foot. Okay. And so forth. Like you 12-foot cables, you need to connect them all. And I'm going to say 12-foot cables so you know what's happening here. How would I start? Go big picture. You want half of the circumference plus, what is this called? The diameter of this thing, right? Do you remember circumference? Is 2 pi r. So distance around is half of 2 pi r plus diameter. Should have paid attention grade 10, right? That's what you're thinking right now. Can you cancel the half and the 2? Yeah, it's like, why would we even bother? That's pi r plus the diameter. Pi times radius plus, what's the diameter? Anybody? It's 40, right? It's 40 right across. Where did you get that from? We figured it out that it was 40 here. So plus 40. So let's do the math there. I'm going to go 20 times pi plus 40. That's 102.83 something feet. You need to figure out how many cables you're going to need to buy. 102.83 feet divided by 12 feet, large divided by small, okay? That gives me 8.56 something. So I need approximately 9 cables. I'm going to fit the cost here, okay? Cost. I can do this. Cost is 9 times 32.99 times 1.12. And that's 332.54 cents. I'm going to give that a color. So this number and this number need to be added up. And I will make this stand out. I'll say grand total. It's just adding those two up. $777.15. We're going to assume that the hot tub is just, there's not enough money to buy the hot tub, right? We're just not going to do that. It's getting a bit ridiculous, right? That's what you're thinking.